that was just the vice president talking about just signing this historic deal between the United States and Iran and answering a lot of reporters' questions about what that means. We're going to dig into it right now. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno here with my co-host, Harris Faulkner. And also joining us today, Molly Line, Fox News correspondent, Kaylee McGee-White, Fox News contributor, and Marcus Lemonis, businessman, host of The Fixer on Fox Business and Fox Nation, and Fox News contributor. All right, so let's dig in. Kaylee, we were talking the whole time, guys, by the way, while listening to the vice president, and all of this has such fodder for questions. Your thoughts, and especially on the oil component, Kaylee?
Yeah, I think that overall, it is a good thing that we were able to strike a deal. I think that the American people were ready for this conflict to be over, and I think it's good that President Trump has decided it's time to come home. I have two concerns on that front, however. We heard Vice President Vance say this repeatedly, that this is ultimately contingent on Iran's good behavior. I fully support that, and I believe this administration is going to enforce those requirements. However, what happens in 2028 if a Republican administration is not in control of the White House? Do those behavioral expectations continue to be enforced? Do we leave it to our Gulf state partners to do that? I think there's a big question mark about the longevity of whether this deal works out. And I also want to question whether we are underestimating the religious extremism that has driven the Iranian regime for decades now. I believe that there is an economic incentive for the Iranian regime to work with the other Gulf state nations and potentially even with us. However, is that going to be overshadowed by the religious extremism that has really motivated this regime? I just worry that that's being severely underestimated here. And we talked a little bit about that financial incentivization and your thoughts.
Compliance has a best friend, and the best friend is cash. And at the end of the day, what the Iranians want is they want to rebuild their country. I think there's always going to be a risk that there's not going to be compliance. And there's always going to be a risk that in 2028, there's a different administration. But as I sit here today, what I think President Trump did very well, and nobody's talking about it, is everybody was focused on what oil prices would become in August or September. Let's talk about the amount of work that was done in the last 12 months to build independence on the Eastern Hemisphere versus the Western Hemisphere. What we did in Venezuela was a setup. What we've done on the coast of California, and hopefully soon to be more, in Mexico and Canada, starts to create oil independence. I think that time bought us more than we think.
And not just oil independence, because many of these areas also have rare earths. So it's independence on a whole lot of levels. I've asked our team to isolate this because it's such a great question that you guys are talking about, the Gulf Coast and all of our friends there. What do they think of this deal? If it's ready, let's play it.
The Gulf Coast Coalition loves this deal because they think that it makes Iran weaker. They hated the Obama deal because they thought that it made Iran stronger. They know more about this, and they have more to lose than anybody, including the United States of America, so I trust their judgment.
You know, just hearing that is so critical because we could actually see, and we don't know yet, but we can be hopeful about the fact that the Abraham Accords actually widen behind this. Because it takes not just the UAE, but Oman. I mean, remember, that's a port that we were also watching over. I mean, there's really been a partnership among people who maybe didn't see us that way before. They were less than neutral about us, and now they're on our side.
But if you peel back that comment, I want to peel back because you wanted to get that clip because you liked what you heard. If you peel that back just a little bit, what you also heard him say is the responsibility to resolve this and enforce it isn't singularly our problem.
That's what I love about that.
We all these other folks, they wanted this to happen. We made it happen. Here you go.
Skin in the game. Yeah. From the people who were closest. And you want to know how much thick skin they have to have? Ask them after Iran started killing those neighbors and wiped out Kuwait. Don't forget, just like a week ago, in the middle of the ceasefire, as we entered this deal, they took out Kuwait's international airport, big chunks of it. I mean, that's where we are. So I am optimistic. You're right. That's what I liked about that, because we cannot do it alone, and we shouldn't. That's what Vietnam, that's what history has taught us.
Yeah, in this remarkable press conference, I guess, that the vice president gave, he touched on a lot of these points and reminded us about what great partners our Gulf allies have been, which were shown last year when the president made that remarkable trip, building up the economic advantages and economic shares that we have with one another in that area. And we've seen what great partners they've been since the Iran conflict has begun. We're reminded of that, and he pointed that out. One of the other pieces of clarity that I think he offered, one of the things that I saw
being talked about on X, particularly by those that were critiquing the MOU before even details were really out, was about the $300 billion. And he offered some clarity on that this was not taxpayer money and that it was very specifically contingent on some remotely good behavior over the next 60 days from Iran. And that the clock begins today. So we'll begin watching that. And that $300 billion, that is about, once again, going back to the opportunity that Iran has to sort of join this global community that could ultimately end up with something truly remarkable like the Abraham Accords. But we're a long way from that. And Kayleigh, as you mentioned, looking towards 2028 and probably well beyond that as to whether or not what sort of international neighbor Iran will become in the future years.
Yeah, I think those are a lot of questions that people hold right now. Where will we see that money be invested? Will it be to rebuild the infrastructure of the massively poor Iran right now? Will it be used to simply restock at the rate that they were before, on par with Russia and China, their ballistic missiles? The vice president said what matters is launchers. How will the relationship unfold between Yemen and the Houthis? How will Saudi Arabia step up, the Emirates? I think right now this is obviously a beautifully historic day, and the real results remain to be seen, and everyone will, with optimism, look forward to seeing hopefully those results that lead to a secure and peaceful Middle East region.
And how do we get inflation down below 3% again?
Oh, it's going to come.
Yeah.
It will.
This was a big part.
We may spend our way out of this. You never know. Just real quickly, I thought this was critical too, Emily. When the vice president was asked, are you leading negotiations? He didn't even flinch. He said, yeah, I'm leading the negotiations team. I mean, there's been some discussion about all hands on deck. Absolutely. This is the guy on this day, and he says, yeah, I'm the one. I'm in charge of this for the president.
Yeah, as the president says, JD's in charge.
JD, I don't call him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the vice president.
Hey, everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.